Uh, the pivots of political argumentation. People's political philosophies changed as the definition of we the people changed, and accordingly, policies and court decisions changed with that changing definition. At the founding, we the people were the white men, but across American history, that definition spread to more groups like women and other races. It's interesting how changing one small part, like a definition, of an overall philosophy can have a huge consequences. One does not need to argue for one side or opinion by taking on the whole argument. One can trigger one part, and that one part, even a small part, can steer the direction of the argument in your favor. Also, one does not need to convince a person of one's way of thinking, one's system of thought. That is very hard to do. It is better to understand how your audience or the person you are trying to persuade thinks. What is their system of thought? You then strategize around that thinking. For instance, Woodrow Wilson and FDR knew that America was a liberal nation. So they had to advance their arguments of more government involvement in liberal terms. They both advocated a form of positive liberty, saying that the government needs to provide individuals the freedom to reach their potential, and the government is needed to protect the individual from large organizations, especially corporations. By forming the issues and contexts in a way that puts their views on the right side of people's systems of thought, FDR and Wilson won the debate. And they also won the ideological long-term battle by gaining ground on how people view government and liberty. Reagan did the same thing as FDR and Wilson, except in the opposite direction. He played to people's ideas of liberalism and showed that the government curbs the individual's liberty. Again, the politician and many other factors is changing people's conception of government and liberty, which allows his vision for America. Of course, a big part of this strategy is convincing people of your version of history. FDR convinced the people that excessive capitalism and too much laissez-faire caused the Great Depression. Since negative liberty did not work, we need to turn to positive liberty. Government needs a strong hand in ensuring things do not get out of hand, and that every individual should be treated equally. Reagan was able to convince people that the hard economic times during Jimmy Carter and the Great Society under LBJ were due to excessive government involvement, high inflation, high government spending, high taxes, and obtrusive government regulations. He created a picture for the American public that made it look like the government was getting in the way of the individual succeeding. So to advance a good argument and create a new definition or modified definition, you need to create a very clear line from a cause, the history, to the effect. FDR was able to create a clear enough line to make people think that the cause of the Great Depression was excessive capitalism and not enough government involvement, not the Smoot-Hawley tariff or even excessive government involvement, especially in his own government involvement. Reagan was able to do the same thing. He showed the connection between an over-involved government and a poor economy, not the unlucky circumstances of the times like the OPEC embargo or the fact that the computer revolution hadn't fully started and it doesn't really take off until his presidency. History is full of variables, and there are many ways to explain cause-effect relationships. Actually, we don't really fully understand the effects because there are so many variables and degrees at play. And even if we knew all the variables and the degree of each variable, we do not know the way a variable will shape the outcome or how a combination of variables will shape the outcome. The winner of the debate is the one that can give the best explanation of the cause-effect relationship. The one that can give the most logical, clear, colorful story. And by just effectively doing that on one small part, like a definition or a basic assumption, one can win the whole argument.